Hi, welcome to our presentation about the San Rafael Elementary School District, where we have analyzed the financial disparity that is found there. My name is Megan Tripp.
I'm Silvia.
And my name is Manuela Lopez.
The first thing we did was choose two schools to look into. So we chose San Pedro and Glenwood Elementary. As you can see, they're very different places based on their demographics. Glenwood is a very diverse school, and it's pretty middle class, not a lot of low income students and not a lot of English language learners, versus San Pedro, that is the majority low income, the majority English language learners, and 99% Hispanic. The interesting thing about them is that they are a block apart. You could walk to these two schools. So how are their demographics so different? Well, it has to do with their enrollment lines. On the left, you'll see San Pedro's enrollment lines, and on the right, you will see a map of the Canal, which is an ethnic enclave in San Rafael, mainly housing South American immigrants. It's a pretty low-income area, and most of the people living there have only received a high school degree or lower. In the yellow, you see the part of the enrollment lines that overlap with Glenwood. Notice how it's above the area of the Canal. And in the red, you will see the part of the enrollment lines that only go to San Pedro, which is the heart of the Canal.
Here we are looking at San Pedro's CASP results. We see that they are below par, being under 20% of students meeting or exceeding the state standards. And this has to do with the lack of resources they do receive. A teacher from San Pedro stated, majority of our kids are extremely below school level by 2 or 3. We have the majority of 4th, 5th graders reading at 2nd and 3rd grade levels. This mirrors the previous slide of how academically behind San Pedro Elementary is due to the lack of resources. And we see campus culture at San Pedro isn't very diverse. It's shown in problems between students because they aren't being taught tolerance. Feel free to read boxes and notice the problems students face when they're being introduced to different ethnicities, but there's a lot of underlying problems here that need to be changed.
So the next thing we looked into after looking into the campus culture and the demographics and the academics was the money. So this is all about resources from the district. So they have pretty much the same teacher salary. The $7,000 discrepancy can be explained by the fact that San Pedro has a much higher teacher turnover rate, which is going to lower the overall average. They have pretty much the same classroom size, and they receive exactly the same amount of money from the district per classroom per year. But the big difference comes in outside money sources. At Glenwood, they receive about $700 per year per child, which really makes an impact on their classrooms and the resources. San Pedro families cannot afford to do this. Glenwood families also are able to donate classroom supplies as teacher asks for it, and San Pedro families simply are not. This means that San Pedro teachers are spending that $300 that they get, instead of on fun things or on extras, they're spending it on the basic minimums of paper, pencils, and notebooks. The other big major factor was clear parent communication and involvement. Over at San Pedro, they don't have the extra resources that they need to communicate with their families that are mainly non-English speakers.
Another teacher stated, we are segregated, emphasizing that the enrollment lines that are drawn between the schools, San Pedro students are often denied access to Glenwood.
In doing our research, we learned that funding discrepancies and segregation in schools is not just happening in our own local district, it's happening all over our nation. Non-white school districts get $23 billion less than white districts, despite serving the same number of students. Our solution is to educate and advocate, support the teachers, and integrate these children. We found a lot of information for teachers where there's a lot of donor websites where teachers can get their funding needs met. East Bay Depot donates, or they collect recycled goods and then they give it to teachers for a free or reduced rate if you're on their list. Adopt a Classroom donors choose an Amazon wish list. You get to put in all the funding needs that you have for your classroom, and donors can go on and fill those needs. We also found lesson plans for teaching segregation, which you can do yourself, and ProPublica, which is a resource that you can go to to find the disparities in your own district.
Thank you so much for coming to the presentation. If you like what you saw, come check out our paper that we wrote called Analyzing Financial Disparity in the San Rafael City Elementary School District. And we hope that you look more into this issue in the future.
Hi, welcome to the Hutchins Outreach Project. My name is Sabrina Myers.
My name is Amber Bleidistel.
And my name is Erin Rose Charlton.
So we decided to do this project because we noticed that there was a lack of diversity in the Hutchins program when it comes to race, gender, opinion, and values due to mostly teachers enrolling in the Hutchins school because it has a direct pathway to allow for prospective teachers to get their multiple subject teaching credential, which all three of us joined Hutchins for that very reason. But throughout our education, we realized how valuable a liberal studies education is. Most college programs use a lecture style of learning, which does not work for all students, myself included. Hutchins breaks away from that typical style. We wanted to show prospective students that there is this different program out there that allows for a more student-centered approach to learning through a unique seminar-based reading and writing program.
So our goal with this project was to create a resource for prospective students, whether they be college transfer students or seniors in high school, to look at to learn about the Hutchins School of Liberal Studies. And in this resource, we wanted to really focus on Hutchins as a liberal studies program. The first thing that we did was speak with Department Chair Stephanie Dreyer, because we wanted to make a resource that was valuable not only for us and for prospective students, but also for the Hutchins department. And we didn't want to recreate anything that was already out there. After speaking with Stephanie Dreyer and reflecting on what was most valuable about our time in Hutchins, we decided to create a webinar where we speak with prospective students about what the Hutchins program is. And we divided that up into main categories. First, we decided to talk about what a liberal studies major looks like and what you can do with a liberal studies degree. We also wanted to speak about interdisciplinary education, as that is a large pillar of the Hutchins philosophy. Next, we wanted to talk about what a seminar-based program looks like, especially when it has a reading and writing intensive style like the Hutchins program does. And lastly, we talked about different relationships that students form, both with their peers and with their professors in the Hutchins School of Liberal Studies. So overall, we created a webinar about Hutchins from the student's perspective. And since it was from the student's perspective, we thought it would be valuable to also include other testimonials from Hutchins students that were our peers.
In the end, we created a webinar entailing the uniqueness of the program and all the opportunities this program holds for all the different career paths. Next, we transferred the information from the webinar into a PDF format. In addition, we curated a collection of student testimonials from all different Hutchins tracks and class years. Finally, we gave the webinar, the PDF document, and testimonials to the Hutchins program. Once the Hutchins program has resolved in how they would like to use and distribute these resources then could be given out to other educational institutions, including career and counseling centers. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Hi everyone, my name is Ruth McQuown, and alongside Shaun and Alison, we have decided to focus our project on plastic water bottle waste. So we all know that we leave a carbon footprint on this beautiful earth, and one of the things in our footprint is plastic. It's a really big thing, and so not decomposable. But we have decided to create a website for communities and schools to use as an educational resource about plastic bottle reusing. So our website consists of facts about where the plastic water bottle goes after being thrown away, the long and short-term effects of the water bottle, as well as the things that you can do. So our website contains 3 lesson plans, as well as a fun interactive greenhouse activity created by Shaun, and our lesson plans are all created by Alison. Each one of these lesson plans and blueprints follow the idea of using plastic water bottles as the main source. It's all recyclable projects. So cool. Our long-term goal for this website and this project in general is to reach it far out into different communities and to different school districts, hoping that over time they can incorporate ways to officially reuse water bottles rather than recycling, because recycling isn't enough. We have to find ways to use them as we have them until we can officially find a way to decompose them, which is also linked on our website. So cool, different resources. Anyway, so follow along with our super fun project and our amazing cool people as we bring about awareness of plastic water bottles. Thanks.
Our approach toward the solution had two parts. One was education around reducing plastic consumption, and the other was using already circulating plastic in alternative ways. So we addressed the second part by constructing a plastic bottle greenhouse and creating a short manual on how to put it together. The greenhouse is in my garden, so let's take a little tour.
Oh, hello. What's up, Pepper? So the plastic bottle greenhouse that we built for the project is meant to sit on top of a 3x6 garden bed. I decided to do each of the walls in a different style using different kinds of plastic bottles to give people options on how they can mount the plastic, which is the trickiest part. And some of the methods are more aesthetically pleasing than others to whatever your preferences are. This first wall is plastic bottles that are stacked and run through with a fishing line to give them some structural integrity. This second wall is 2-liter bottles that are cut into strips and fastened with wood slats. These are square bottles. As you can see, I can also use the ends of the bottle, and they look kind of cool. This roof is plastic bottles that are stacked and pressed down so that the gaps are filled in more than if they were just next to each other. This last wall is just plastic bottles, green and clear, that are stacked and wedged between the pieces of wood. You can see that some ants have found the delicious soda residues. This roof is actually made from just a plastic sheet that I found in a garbage can that someone was not recycling. Shame, shame. Let's take a peek inside. Oh. These are my little lettuces that are going to be part of the Thanksgiving dinner tonight. Outside right now, outside of the greenhouse, it's about 65 degrees. And as you can see, inside the greenhouse is about 92 degrees, which is a huge difference, especially in the winter when you're trying to grow all kinds of crops. Yeah. Thank you for taking this tour with me.
For our project, we created a website. The website contains useful information about plastic bottle waste as well as our own plastic bottle greenhouse. The website consists of facts about where a water bottle goes after being disposed of correctly, incorrectly, and things you can do about this issue. There are multiple lesson plans and blueprints linked showing how to reuse the water bottles used in our daily classrooms as well as to teach school-aged children about the life of a water bottle. Our blueprints will consist of how to use a plastic water bottle to create a greenhouse. The website has been brought to the attention of multiple teachers and schools to bring awareness to the cause. Obviously, we would like to solve the world crisis of plastic waste. However, we are sticking to a smaller unit currently and hopeful that there will be more projects about reducing and reusing water bottles in the near future. Overall, our goal was to create a sustainable future. Our project included building plastic bottle greenhouses, hopefully with students in their schools, utilizing the plastic bottle waste generated at the school and within the community in the near future. Another extension will be requesting donations of reusable water bottles from large companies to distribute to students and families in order to reduce the use of plastic waste in general. Thank you for taking the time and learning about the impact of your plastic bottle waste.
My name is Shannon Smith. I am in track 3, and I am from a small town in Humboldt County, California. I was really excited to be a part of this project to just normalize talking about mental health in the classroom.
My name is Sammie Philp, and I am from Temecula, California. I am a part of track 2 of Hutchins, and I am doing this project because this issue is not talked about enough. I really want to do this project so I can provide a resource for teachers to shed some light on how important mental health is.
My name is MacKenzie Howard. I am from Vacaville, California. I am a track 3 Hutchins, and one reason I was really looking forward to this project was just to compile all the information and really create a lasting document for educators, old and new. The problem that we are addressing in this resource guide, Mental Health in My Classroom, is the underaddressed issue and discussion of mental health in our youth, specifically school-aged children, kindergarten through 5th grade. Mental health is not often openly talked about in these target grades, so the purpose of our project is to explore the best ways to normalize some of these conversations in an everyday classroom.
So we have these contents right here, which is our preface, and then we have mental health as a fact, we have what educators should know, we have all of our research, and we also have our target age groups, and we put all of these groups, we kind of sectioned them off and kind of went deeply into each age group to kind of give some resources for how we can tackle this mental health issue in each age group. So another big thing that we really want to tackle with this project is myths versus facts with mental health, especially in children. And one that I believe is very important is the fact that people don't think that kids don't experience mental health issues. And this is very much not true. Half of all mental health disorders show first signs before a person turns 14. And 3/4 of these disorders begin before age 24. This is the problem because we are not taking into account that kids definitely can have mental health issues.
Awesome. Okay, so we also wanted to incorporate the social justice standards into every activity and resource that we compiled. These standards are awesome because they incorporate identity, diversity, justice, and action, which go hand in hand with just checking in on your students and making sure that you have an equitable classroom that can promote positive mental health.
I got the honors of kind of delving into kindergarten and 1st grade. So one of these is through handling stress. And so I call it listen to your body. So basically stress can be hard, and it can be even harder to figure out what your body needs when there's so many things running about your brain. When you are stressed, it is very important to listen to what your body is telling you it needs. I think it is very difficult sometimes for kids to understand what they need, especially when they are stressed. And so I think encouraging kids to really listen to their body and to focus in on that would be very helpful for handling stress.
I got to do the 2nd and 3rd grade section of this resource document. So within all of these categories, one of my favorite activities I put together is called Surfing the Angry Sea. It's important for students to understand the way that they're feeling and what emotions are coming out. So we want to teach our students to ride the wave rather than letting it crash on them and wipe them out completely. So here are 15 different things that our students can do to manage their anger, relieve their stress, calm their anxiety, so that they don't crash.
I did 4th and 5th grade for this resource guide. One of the activities that I thought would be a really fun one in the classroom would be, it's called Letting Go Balloons, and it focuses on not worrying so much. So to relieve stress and worry, you would have all the students receive a balloon, and then they would blow it up, and then with a Sharpie they would write down all of their worries and stresses, and they write it down and they tie a string on it, and then the whole class can go outside together, close their eyes, and then release all the balloons into the sky. Take a deep breath and to just let some of their worries go. So last but certainly not least, we compiled a list of 30 different children's books. And we just hoped that compiling this list of books would help both families, students, and educators be able to have an outlet for positive ways to cope when sometimes they can't name their emotions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Hi, everyone. Our project is called You Matter, and my name is Delaney.
And I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Danelle.
And the problem that we're addressing is mental health in schools. So the problem being mental health is commonly overlooked in school systems, which affects the students' education as well as their overall health. So what we want to do is bring awareness as well as provide resources because we don't believe that there are enough resources provided in schools. So our solution is we created some things to share with teachers in order for them to be able to help their students.
Resource we made is a brochure, and this brochure is designed to be an informative aid for teachers, staff, and other students to be able to learn if they or other students could use some assistance with mental health. This brochure offers 5 signs that someone might be struggling with mental illness, and then steps that teachers can take to give assistance, and also kind of ideas on what we recommend schools implement that help make mental health more accepted and part of the curricular activities for students. It also talks about the suicide crisis hotline number and 3 helpful TED Talks that could help students manage their mental health problems.
And we made another brochure of different types of therapy. So this brochure focuses on other therapies that are not the typical talk therapy. And we focused on 4 types of therapy because there's multiple. But the ones that we focused on was music therapy, art therapy, dance and movement therapy, and drama therapy. And this brochure goes over the different types of therapy, the importance of each therapy, and the different practices that they do in those therapies. And we also have different websites that they can go to for more information, as well as go to find a therapist.
We created a clickable virtual little counselor website where you are able to click all the links within here. This little puzzle thing shows jigsaw puzzles. The little cats and dogs show fun videos. We have a body positivity little workout lesson. This clock features time management. And we also have a music note, drama, dance, and art for all of the therapies that Jasmine was speaking about previously in her brochure. And we also have here is the suicide prevention poster. So if you were to click on this, it brings you to a link that shows the hotline as well as other available resources for the suicide prevention. And then if you click on your counselors here, this one gives you a link to the Sonoma County counselors, and this one will give you a test to see if you are experiencing anxiety.
And with these resources, we're hoping that schools and teachers will be better prepared to help their students. Thanks.
Thanks.
For our senior capstone project, MacKenzie, Claudia, and Maddison researched the homelessness crisis in Sonoma County.
In the United States, nearly 500,000 individuals are homeless, and half of this population lives in the state of California. Santa Rosa is the 5th largest city in California with the highest percentage of unsheltered homeless population. Our wish is for the community to better understand, support, and advocate for homeless individuals.
Through conducting a few weeks of research, our group members have concluded that there are many issues that cause homelessness, including housing shortages, lack of mental health programs, COVID-19, and the overall difficulty of accessing outreach programs via technology. While technology is available, the largest barrier is not having access to electricity, which makes using technology impossible.
We have created a website that contains a digital brochure that could be used as a resource guide for the homeless population. In doing so, we're hoping to help bridge the gap of information between the different resources available. In conclusion, we have found that homelessness is not an individual issue. Many aspects feed into a person becoming homeless, and members of the community must all work together to combat this matter.
Our project changed and evolved because the issue of homelessness is so complex that it can't really be solved in one easy step. However, we found that in doing our part to help those we can, listen to their stories, and find out what they need from the city and their community members, this was the best way to approach the issue.
We have created an ID card to distribute throughout the community that includes an extensive list of shelters, pantries, and additional resources available to the homelessness community in Santa Rosa. The QR code on this ID card will take viewers to a website that includes a digital brochure resource guide.
We researched resources available in Santa Rosa for the undocumented homeless population. We included these resources on our website and translated the brochure and Google site to Spanish so it would be accessible to more people.
Please listen closely to the following testimonials from two friends, Druid and Walter, who enjoy hanging out near the Sonoma County Central Library in downtown Santa Rosa.
How are people in Santa Rosa? How do they treat you guys? Are they nice?
You know, that is the beautiful thing. We live in Santa Rosa. It's a very blue town with a lot of Democrats. So, no, we get treated pretty nicely. I mean, people are pretty nice here in Santa Rosa. People are really fair. You know, people do walk by and say hello and good morning. Sometimes people randomly give us stuff.
If there was one thing the city could do that would help you the most, what would you say it would be?
Turn the outlets back on, because there's outlets everywhere in Santa Rosa, and they used to be on.
Yeah.
And there used to never be a problem with anybody just powering whatever they need to power.
Yeah, I see.
I have 18 years sobriety.
Congratulations.
Okay, so what that really should tell you is that not everybody who's homeless is a drug addict, and they will try to tell you this, though.
Of course, yeah.
They will try to instill this into you, even in school. There are a lot of sober homeless people. There are a lot of not sober homeless people. But there are a lot of sober people and not sober people in any of the classes.
That's right. Yeah. That's true.
Do you think there's like a central place around here where everyone hangs out?
Really, the cops keep moving people around.
Seems like everyone's very dispersed. Yeah.
What usually happens when the cops approach you guys? What do they say? Do they cite you guys? Are they friendly? Are they not?
We used to sit behind the library over here, and they told us we couldn't sit there. So we said, okay, we'll leave. We were sitting over there in whatever that mall is called.
It's called Comstock Mall. We didn't know that till they told us.
They came through and told him he couldn't have a shopping cart in there. So we came over here, and they haven't bothered us since we came here. So we sit here every day now.
Good.
Our capstone project is just the beginning of a much greater solution. There is so much more that can be done to combat homelessness in Santa Rosa and neighboring communities.
Next steps and action items are write letters to city officials, add audio descriptions to our website, focus on unsheltered youth, focus on effects of COVID-19, interview community partners, research systemic causes of poverty, obtain more testimonials, and interview Janet about poverty law.
Thank you for watching. We hope that future students continue to increase awareness and empathy for homeless individuals in our wonderful community. Best, Makena, Claudia, and Maddison.
All right, everyone, welcome. This is our senior capstone project. My name's Noah.
I'm Tay Elliott.
And I'm Riley Fiscus.
And we wrote our research paper on disease and disaster mental health relief, specifically in Sonoma County. It's a 3-piece paper, with the first part being about mental health awareness and recognition recognizing it in your child. The second part being analysis and statistics, and the third being a critique of Sonoma County's resources.
Warning signs, behaviors, and mental illness in regards to children. This is just a list of behaviors that parents or adults can look for, such as sadness, increased heart rate, or a loss of appetite. As you can see, the list goes on. Talking to children about mental illness, well, the adult needs to be knowledgeable and comfortable with the subject, have a straightforward communication, getting to the point, as well as using words that's appropriate to the child's level of age and development so that the child understands, making sure that the child feels comfortable and safe, and during the conversation, watch for reactions. If the child is confused, back up. If the child does seem like he or she does not want to talk about it, pause and resume another day. Also making sure that's just not a one-time conversation, but a reoccurring conversation, and letting the child know that they can talk to their teachers, counselors, or anybody else that they trust about their mental health. Being aware of the child's feelings or concerns and asking key questions such as, how are you feeling and what can I do more to help you?
The next part of our research paper was the research and analysis. We pulled a lot of the research that we found from Sonoma County's website, specifically in the profile of leading health indicators, where we were able to get a better look of what mental health looks like in Sonoma County. However, we quickly noticed that the studies were done from the years of 2005 to 2011. So the statistics that we were able to find, while still meaningful, were a little harder to analyze. Another part of the Sonoma County website that we looked into was the prioritized community health needs. Gaps in access to mental health services was number 5 on the list of 13. The county believes that many individuals with mental health concerns do not have access to the treatment they need based on income and on lack of available services, and that approximately 70,000 to 80,000 individuals, which is 14% of the total community, are currently uninsured for health care. So that left us thinking, what can we do to help? What needs to be done to help these people in need?
Along those lines, Sonoma County has a few fantastic resources that are free, such as NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness website. They're a fantastic resource for all ages. They have all sorts of data and classes and education available, as well as the healthcarefoundation.net. That's great for early childhood education resources, distance learning, and resources for Sonoma County families facing mental and monetary challenges. And then in our critique, we found that the pros of Sonoma County's resources are the many free available resources that are quite good, the self-education potential for parents, and the family resource centers that are abound in the area. The cons mostly being that there's a lot of highly privatized therapy and communication for children, as well as most of the resources require internet.
This now leads us to our proposed solutions, the first being to revise the Sonoma County website and to revisit the county's list of prioritized needs to see if those needs are still as important or if they need to be switched around, and to resurvey participants for more accurate data. We saw that those the statistics that we were analyzing were from the years of 2005 to 2011, so to get that more up to date.
We'll be sending our research to Sonoma County's health services and to behavioral health divisions so that more adults can be more aware and knowledgeable in mental health in regards to children.
And then also we wanted to fund and provide censuses for student bodies in Sonoma County, as well as California families to track mental health and disaster relief needs, as well as expand corporate and nonprofit efforts to increase education and relief for families suffering from need for mental health resources. And with that, thank you very much for listening.
Hi, I'm Gina.
I'm Karen.
I'm Lauren. And for our senior capstone project for Hutchins, we created Celebrate Everybody. Elementary students everywhere are forced to comply with tests and programs that attempt to regulate eating and weight. However, these tests and programs oftentimes have a counterproductive effect on these students. As high as 70 to 80% of elementary school girls and a slightly lower percentage of boy students struggle with disordered eating, and or body image issues. Our team created a Google Classroom named Celebrate Every Body that is filled with resources that are available to not only students and parents, but also for educators to share in classroom settings. Celebrate Everybody includes resources, information, and tools on how to lead a healthy lifestyle without perpetuating the notion of an ideal body type or shape. Future work for Celebrate Everybody would include continuing to post up-to-date information on the page that promotes both body positivity and self-love. With our project, we hope to change the way elementary school students view their bodies and begin to foster a positive view of their own bodies as well as body image in general.
For our first classroom, I was in charge of students, and these are students anywhere from preschool to college students. And there's a variety of tools, websites, and activities for all students of all ages to promote body positivity and body health, such as preschoolers, healthy tips, guides, and activities. There's a short description of what will be shown, and you get to simply be clicking and directed to the website. And in this website, there's a variety of tools, friendly activities for children. A lot of the time, children don't understand what body neutrality and body positivity is, but there's videos, there's activities that help spark that image in their brains.
Next, I did resources for parents. So here, the same like Karen's, there are resources ranging from younger ages all the way to K-12 or in college. So these are for parents, for resources to be able to promote body positivity at home. And like there's the little short description, and then you can click here and it will take you to the website, and it's called the 5 Fundamentals of Body Positive Parenting. And it just gives little tips and tricks to help encourage body positivity at home with your own kids.
So for my section, I did classroom resources. So these are resources for teachers to try to bring body positivity and body neutrality into the classroom. So an example of this lesson is what is body image? And this is a full lesson plan. So as you can see, there's a short synopsis saying what grade level this is for and what the lesson will be covering. And when you click on this, this is a full lesson you can see. So it has objectives, it has your subject, it has standards. So parents can go to this, or teachers can go to this, I should say, to look and see how they can teach body positivity in their classroom. And it gives plenty of resources, materials. And even if you don't follow this like to a T, it's still a fantastic resource to bring it into a classroom.
And for the last portion of our classroom, we decided to add positive influencers. Social media is a great part of our society nowadays. So we added websites of social media influencers, TikToks, Instagrams, Facebooks, and a variety of resources, books, and authors of people who support body positivity and emphasize living a healthy lifestyle. And there's just so many resources here and so easily accessible to anyone and everyone just from our phones, which is amazing because that's what we always have. Celebrate Everybody is really a never-ending project. We are constantly adding resources. Anyone can add resources, and it's really to be never-ending and support body positivity. Bye, everyone.
Hello, my name is Erica Sanchez, and this is my senior project. I just want to clarify that there were definitely a lot of directions that I wish I could have taken this project, but with the lack of my motivation, I kind of made that difficult on myself. Still, I wanted to make sure that whatever I did with this project acknowledged the battles that some Sonoma State students have gone through or are currently facing. And to get started, I asked an advisor from the Educational Opportunity Program, or also known as EOP, to help get the word out to my peers about my program. Luckily, because of that, I was able to get a handful of participants for the interview, which honestly, when I created these questions, I really wanted to create a comfortable environment, as well as try to get a better understanding of what pushed these students to continue with their education. Definitely, I have to admit, after the interviews, it was really difficult just deciding what direction to go with my project. And luckily, I had a friend who suggested to look over an article on the research of resilience, which really correlated with what I was doing. Resilience, as the article stated, is how people overcome risk or adversity to succeed in life. And although most cases didn't require extraordinary resources, rather ordinary magic that arises naturally from the interaction of basic adaptive systems that foster and protect human development, there was still a range of prompting factors. These factors range from the bonds with caregivers, positive relationships with adults, to intellectual skills, faith or culture, friends or romantic partners, and of course, positive self-perception. Here are a few of the interviews.
So my name is Jennifer, first year, first gen student at Sonoma State. I currently have a job at Amazon working part-time. And in the mornings when I have time, I take care of my sisters. And basically like their second mom or whatever. But
campus right now, but it's so different. It's so lonely since I don't really see a lot of people. There's like no events. So I feel like, yeah, I'm in college, but it feels like I'm still in high school, like on my last year, because everything's online. I'm really not meeting anyone. It feels like I'm very like missing out a lot in college. So yeah, that's a little hard right now because I feel really lonely. And I guess since I'm not like really interacting with other people and I'm always used to having people around and hanging out with my friends, that kind of I've suffered from depression for about 4 to 5 years. So I feel like my depression has gotten a little worse. Like I'm at that point where it's like everything's going downhill. Like that's how I'm feeling because I'm like.
My name's Yareli. I'm a sophomore. I'm a bio and human development major. And my goal is to be a PA, if possible, a doctor, but I'm leaning more of a PA as of now. I am currently working 2 jobs and doing full-time school with, I think, 19 credits at the moment. So it's been a pretty stressful semester.
Wow.
I feel like, yeah, school has been a safe haven for me ever since I got here. But like at first it was tough, but I wasn't like I'm just gonna say like, oh, the regular kids around me pretty much. Cause like, oh, like they told me like every time like, hey, let's go to the movies afterwards. Like, oh, let's go to this party. Let's do this and that. And let's go on vacation. I didn't have the money for that. It's because every time I got out of school, I had to work 2 jobs. It was always like working at this Mexican restaurant and then had to work in this other, I had to like clean houses, or it was pretty much anything from construction to cooking pretty much. So pretty much when I was in school, I was always working all the time. And then when I wasn't working, I was doing school.
So like, I guess like experiencing homelessness was kind of like usually it happened kind of in the end, like beginning, well, I guess throughout my high school years. So it was just kind of a little bit hard because it's like, it's either, sometimes like sleeping in a van whenever my mom and my mom's significant other at the time would, have fights and everything. And if we didn't have enough money, then we'd sleep in the vans, right? And then when we did have money, we'd sleep in hotels or motels. And, it was just something that I kind of got used to. And so like when I had the privilege of studying abroad, it was just like a whole new world because, for me, I personally thought like studying abroad or just in general going to college was for mostly like affluent like families. And so I just like, I was like kind of discouraged, but I was like, it never hurts to, try, like as long, like what's the worst thing they're gonna say, like no.
Like my mom and my dad, like they were always there, like whenever like we needed something, like we tell them. And I always like the thing about me is like since I knew we were poor, and I guess I was kind of smart from reading, like I knew that like asking for things was a lot. And I'd always be like, don't ask them. And like I'd always cry when asking. Even till this day, I like cry when I ask them. And they'd always like get it. Like no matter what, they'd always like manage.
So how can Sonoma State provide the proper support for these resilient students? Well, the article stated that it can do so by offering a positive framework for intervention that can be conceptualized in the terms of the 4 M's as follows: mission, models, measures, and method. So, I want to emphasize on the importance of shining a light and recognition on students like this and their resilience. I know that a lot of my personal reflection essays gave me the opportunity of expressing myself, but I haven't been aware of many majors that incorporate this in the classroom. There can be a lot of support in giving the students the opportunity to express their emotions to even just their professors. Still, it would feel even more powerful to be writing a piece about yourself because you find value in it, not just because you need your professor to sympathize for you. To enlarge the framework, EOP can send out a recorded or written newsletter once a week about a resilient student story. This can create the same sense of inspiration that I got from listening over the interviews, as well as remind the students of their great accomplishments and allow for them to speak on them. Thank you for listening to my senior project.
Hello everyone, my name is Summer, and me, Allie, and Grace decided to look up waste in elementary schools, and we found out that the biggest contributor to waste is food waste. We decided to make a website that will provide resources for elementary schools and ways they can work towards reducing food waste. So, here are some quick facts about food waste in elementary schools. It's reported that in elementary schools in the United States, over 530,000 tons of food is wasted each year, and 70% of that waste goes to landfills, with 45 million gallons of that waste being milk waste. So we looked up some programs, and the National School Lunch Program is a federal program that provides free lunches to students at public and nonprofit elementary schools. Around 7 million students receive free lunches from this program. The meals that students receive must meet federal meal pattern requirements. Students are eligible for this program by participating in federal assistance programs. We found this foundation, the World Wildlife Foundation. They might have heard of it before, and it's one of the largest advocates to stop food waste. They're food waste warriors, and their goal is to encourage schools to engage students on food loss and waste as part of a conservation curriculum. Students are empowered to discover the impact of food waste through the school year. They simultaneously experience an integrated science and math conservation lesson plan that highlights the natural resources associated with wasting food, including the wildlife they're passionate about protecting.
Hi, my name's Grace. The next part of our website is Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. Through our research, we found that this is the first thing that students should be aware of and have knowledge of to be better at reducing waste. So we have the 3 definitions of these 3 practices here, and then below we have different games, books, videos, and lessons and activities that teachers and administrators can use to help teach their students about reducing, reusing, and recycling. The next part of our website is composting, which is probably the most important thing we learned in our research when it comes to food waste and decreasing it. So right here we have the definition of composting as well as the benefits. Below we have examples of different ways you can compost on school campuses. And then below we have 3 links to full steps, plans, outlines, and everything you would need to know to start a composting program at an elementary school.
Hi guys, this is Allie. And then our next link, on-site applications, gives teachers or administrators ideas of ways that they can incorporate recycling all throughout the school. And we include multiple links for resources that can be explored for more ideas. So in order to reduce food waste in schools, we offer some simple solutions. So the first one is called Offer versus Serve, where students are given the option to decline food being offered to them when they don't want it. Second is called Share Tables. These are stations where students can return whole food or unopened food and beverages that they don't want, and then other students have the opportunity to grab that food from the table if they are hungry. Third is bulk milk. So this idea would offer milk through dispensers as opposed to milk cartons, because milk cartons are some of the biggest contributors to school waste. So this would help to reduce that. Take-home snack. This is similar to the share tables where students can take home leftover snacks after school, and this would help reduce waste as well as support students and their families who might be food insecure. The Backpack Initiative sends students home with a bag of breakfast and lunch, which they would normally receive at school, but for the weekends. And lastly, we want to partner with local hunger relief programs where any leftover food from schools can be sent to local hunger relief programs to support people in the community who are food insecure.
Hi everyone, my name is Raquella.
My name is Christy.
And my name is Emily. And for our senior capstone project, we decided to research sexual violence awareness. Our problem statement says that the CSU system needs to minimize the interactions on campus between the victims and assailants of sexual assault in residential and academic settings. In order to give you all a visual, we created this infographic. If you scan the QR code, it will take you to a PDF version of the infographic that's easier to read. But for now, I'll just give you a few of the statistics that we decided to include. 81% report short-term or long effects such as PTSD. 78% of rapes involve a person the victim knows. And sexual violence is common. 1 in 3 women experience sexual violence involving physical contact during their lifetimes.
Title IX is a comprehensive federal law that prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in any federally funded education program or activity. This includes sports. Although Title IX is scrutinized by the law, it is not a legal office. Title IX has 2 parts: address reports of sexual harassment and assault. They are supposed to be very neutral and compliance-driven. It only works if both parties comply, and only there to determine if a policy violation has occurred. Another place is outreach, education, and training. All students are mandated to complete a training at the beginning of the semester. Investigators, when a student has chosen to go through with an investigation, are supposed to ask what the survivor wants out of the Title IX process. Sanctions cannot impede with academic progress if the student is not expelled or suspended. But a no-contact order can be put in place regardless. Some survivors would have an issue with an automated system to keep respondents out of their class because that is not the path they have chosen in healing.
Another great resource is called a confidential advocate, or formerly a confidential sexual assault victims advocate. Ours at Sonoma State is Susan Polito, and every campus has an advocate, and they're responsible for rendering advice and assistance to survivors of sexual misconduct. They must be confidential, independent, certified, and appointed based on experience, and they also must demonstrate the ability to effectively provide psychological services for students, and they don't have to work with Title IX to work with her. We actually got the opportunity to meet with Susan, and she was super awesome. She was so approachable, caring, and just emphasized that she was there to work and fight for the survivors. She meets with 17 students a week on average, and she's willing to work with absolutely anyone. And she was just an inspiration to us because she told us that her symbol was a lotus flower, because without the mud in life, a beautiful lotus cannot come out of it. Because we're graduating, we decided to include some important next steps that can be taken. Title IX and the confidential advocate need to be accessible to all students. And here are some ideas we had on how this can be done. So first of all, social media promotion and education on our popular SSU accounts needs to happen. Knowledgeable residential advisors, or RAs, on dealing with the aftermath of sexual assaults. And lastly, Title IX and confidential advocate outreach should also be emphasized in all freshman courses. We hope that you all learned something from our presentation and can use your knowledge to continue to spread awareness. Thank you for listening.